In the year 480 before Christ, a king crossed into Europe with an army so large, the earth was said to drink rivers dry. His name was Xerxes, King of Kings, Lord of Persia, son of Darius. He did not come to raid. He came to finish what his father started. 10 years after Marathon, Persia was not coming back for a landing. Persia was coming back for the map. The Greeks had one place left to stop him before the heartland opened, a narrow road between a cliff and the sea, a place called the Hot Gates, Thermopylae. You think you know this story. 300 Spartans, a wall of bronze, a king who said they would fight in the shade. That is the movie. That is not the point. This is Thermopylae, and 300 was never the whole army. The man who held the pass was Leonidas, king of Sparta, aged blood, about 60 years old when the summons came. He did not march with 300, because 300 was all Sparta had. He marched with 300 Spartiates, because the Carnea festival had locked the rest of the city in ritual, an advance guard, a promise, a king who knew the math. And even that number is a lie if you stop counting at the citizens. Helots marched with him, servants, shield bearers, men. The legend does not bother to number. Behind him came the ones the movie forgot: Tegeans, Mantineans, Corinthians, Phocians, 700 Thespians under a man named Demophilus, 400 Thebans whose loyalty was already a question. Ancient counts put the Greek line at about 7,000, not 300. 7,000 men in a bottleneck against a world. Xerxes did not need a miracle. He needed width, and the pass refused to give it to him. On one side, the Kalidromos mountain. On the other, the Malian Gulf. A road so narrow that 1,000,000 men become a queue. That was the weapon, not a speech, geography. Xerxes had time. He had numbers. He had the Immortals. What he did not have was room to use them. For 2 days, the Persian wave broke on bronze. Archers, Medes, then the Immortals. The 10,000 who were never supposed to fail. They failed. The Greeks rotated. They feigned retreat. They pulled the pursuers into the narrow enclosed again. Xerxes, watching from a throne above the dust, was said to have leaped to his feet 3 times. Then a local man walked into history. His name was Ephialtes of Trachis, not a rejected Spartan, not a monster from a comic, a Greek, a guide, a man who knew a goat path over the mountain, Leonidas. He sold the back door of the pass to the King of Kings. At night, Hydarnes led the Immortals up that path. At dawn, the Phocians on the ridge woke to Persian boots in the trees. They fell back to a hill to make a stand. The Immortals did not stop to destroy them. They went around, straight for the rear of the gates. Leonidas learned the truth with the morning. The pass was already dead. So he did the thing the legend hides inside the glory. He sent most of the army away, not because they were cowards, because someone had to live to fight the next battle. And then the ones who stayed. 300 Spartans, their helots, and 700 Thespians who had no wall of fame waiting at home. Demophilus did not have to die here. Thebes could still bargain. Thespiae chose the hill, a small Boeotian town, no empire, no famous grave waiting in every textbook, 700 men who stayed anyway. They fought into the wider ground. They fought over the body of their king. They fell back to a small rise called Kolonos, and the arrows came down like a second sky. Leonidas did not save Greece with a last spear thrust. He bought it hours, then a day, then a fleet. While the pass burned, Greek ships held the sea at Artemisium. When the gates fell, the fleet could leave. Athens could empty. And weeks later, in the Straits of Salamis, the same invasion that seemed unstoppable learned what a narrow place can do to a great king. Another funnel, another king who needed width, another day bought by the dead in the pass. Thermopylae did not defeat Persia, it delayed Persia. That is the point. Not a suicide cult, not a comic book last stand with monsters in gold. A coalition, a bottleneck, a traitor with a path, a king who spent his life as currency for time, and 700 men from a small town the world still forgets to name. This is Leonidas, this is Demophilus, this is the Hot Gates, and this is why 300 was never the point.